I'm at the Askani-Son card review. I'm at the Supergiant decklist guide. I'm at the combination Askani-Son card review and Supergiant decklist guide. Askani-Son is the card from Deadpool's Diner, and it's actually quite an interesting card in the Supergiant shell. Now, this is pretty clearly, to me, the thing that Askani-Son is best at, and the thing that is going to be able to keep this card relevant, if anything will at all. Askani-Son does a very good impression of an Iron Patriot when you play it on 2. It's notably worse a little bit later, and I think on the whole it is mostly worse Iron Patriot, but that is a deck that is very easily able to lock in favorable priority and has enough cards that move that you can really back up an Askani-Son to the tune of a 4 or 5 cost card that is not only meaningful as a Supergiant card, but also if you need to get priority or affect priority while Supergiant's effect is affecting the board. So what Askani-Son brings is, maybe it's a little bit worse at being an Iron Patriot, but it does have some inbuilt utility as a piece of what Supergiant is doing. This is what the list looked like. The list comes from Ika, who is a premier chef among Marvel Snap players. Stay on the lookout for the things he cooks. This is a baseline Supergiant deck, and Supergiant has been maybe a little bit lost in the wilderness recently, or maybe lost in the wilderness is the wrong term. Perhaps people simply forgot how good this deck is against things like Shou-Lao and Star-Lord. This is one of the few relatively fair decks in Marvel Snap that has a very real shot into a ton of combo decks. Now, it wasn't in a great position for a little bit after the nerfs to Star-Lord because everyone sort of defaulted to Doom 2099, RSM stuff. Those are not great matchups, but now that Star-Lord is coming back in force, Shou-Lao, of course, never really went away. Those are much more manageable matchups for what this deck is trying to do. It's also a deck that's had to incorporate new things into its package. This is a deck that is now going to be dedicated to Ozymandias instead of Ronin, and the Viv Vision buff was also pretty meaningful. So when you look at this deck, it's actually quite different from what Supergiant was even a few weeks ago. This means that there's actually still room to improve, potentially. I've been pretty sold on the Rock package, not necessarily because of Ozymandias, but more because Debris and Rhino are just that good. There's a lot that goes into a deck like this that you'll notice when you play it. First things first, having a 1-drop that moves in the form of Nightcrawler is basically the best setup for either Askani-Son or Iron Patriot that you could possibly get. Then, big 3s, either one that moves in the form of Rocket and Groot or a gigantic Debris, are the order of the day. You typically Supergiant on 4 because that makes your endgame interaction much more powerful. Cosmo and Negasonic are the cards you're going to be using that for. And of course, Ozymandias on 5, but you don't really have to. He's definitely more just here. He's probably the worst part of the Rock package. The 2-5 and the 3-8, those are the good parts of the Rock package. You like those. The 5-9, sometimes it's a 5-12. Very rarely it'll be a 5-18. Most of the time, you care way more about your early game and whether or not you can get something good off of either Askani-Son or Iron Patriot. On to the card-by-card breakdown. Nightcrawler is an absolutely monstrous card in a deck like this. You really just want to play Nightcrawler into one of the 2s, and you will be very much bigger than anything that is reasonably able to contest it. Nightcrawler gets to move. That matters a ton in a deck where you have multiple cards that are taking up multiple slots on the board. Being able to play a Nightcrawler into something like a Rhino and not feel like you've actually committed 3 spots to that is so crucial. This is also very important for Rocket and Groot. The movability goes with a bunch of what this deck is trying to do. It allows you to overinvest in an Askani-Son or Iron Patriot lane, and then once that's already been established and locked in for your payoff, you can move that stuff out. But it also just works really well with the idea of having a Rock package in your deck that is going to take up multiple spaces and allows you to use those cards much more freely. Askani-Son himself is mostly just pretty good. You're very happy with most outcomes from this card because they represent a pretty decent amount of stats. Like, if you compare to what this card would otherwise be in a Supergiant deck, you're looking at stuff like Lizard. All you really need to do is get this guy to like 2 or 3 and he's going to be better than Lizard. And so When the floor is that high, or you're just mostly able to make this card do work, it can be a really useful tool. The other thing that this card has going for it, in addition to just like, it's great and this deck is great at investing on turn 3 and moving stuff out later and locking in a bunch of stats from this, the other thing this card has going for it is that it can affect Supergiant turns. Let's say you want priority, but your opponent took priority. You can pop an Askani-Son while Supergiant's effect is on the board to be able to actually change things around. This is the other thing that your movable cards allow you to do, is you have a lot of control over who's going to have priority under a Supergiant. You can pop an Askani-Son, you can move a Rocket and Groot, you can move a Nightcrawler, and they're typically not going to have nearly the same level of control there. I don't want to oversell Askani-Son. Most of the time, Iron Patriot is going to be better because you know what your output is going to be, and you are better at winning the lane on 3 than you are at winning the lane over the course of the entire game. It's not to say you're bad at it, but you're a lot better at winning it on 3. The other thing that Askani-Son and Iron Patriot do, though, in tandem is sort of punish combo decks a little bit. And this is already a deck that is very built to punish combo decks, so this is very much in its wheelhouse. Combo decks really kind of want specific things to happen specific amounts of the time. So if they want to contest this stuff, it often means that they're going to be going a little bit off curve or playing a little bit weird, right? Like, if you get an Iron Patriot down and your opponent decides to contest that lane with a Luna Snow in their, of course, I'm looking for the word Star-Lord deck, well, they've contested that lane with a Luna Snow, so if it's one of the side lanes, that's a lane they can't reasonably Arnim Zola anymore, right? Like, that kind of stuff sort of stacks up in your matchups against combo decks, and it does kind of matter. I do think Iron Patriot is largely better, both on 2 and on 4. I vastly prefer this, but you're often able to play one or both. Scarlet Witch is a flex slot. She's just here to steal some cubes, Nexuses, Limbos. That's really all she's here for, and I think that it's very reasonable to say, I don't want that. I'd rather have Cable. He's a 2/4. I can curve him out better. Totally valid way to approach this list. No arguments here. This is a flex slot. Put whatever card you really feel like playing that you think is good into the metagame in here. Rhino at 2/5 that adds a rock to his own lane is significantly worse than Debris adding a rock to other lanes. This is because taking up 2 spots in one lane is going to be using a lot more of the effective real estate. That's not to say that he's bad, but definitely a reasonable downside on this 2/5 that is really only justified by a decent stat line, Ozymandias, and the fact that we have a bunch of cards that move around. Definitely the, medium bear of the rock package here, where Debris is the real headliner. The fundamental package that makes the Supergiant deck work is the combination of Supergiant, Negasonic, and Cosmo. That is the core. That is what makes this whole thing actually function. And the rest of the deck is just, let me supplement this with priority plays and power, right? Everything else in here is supplementing that game plan. Iron Patriot, Askani-Son, they exist to supplement the power of this 3-card package. This 3-card package is why you are such a potent anti-combo list. Being a Cosmo list is unbelievably strong against a Star-Lord deck. Being a Supergiant Cosmo list is damn near countering them. This same combination gives you real edges into Shou-Lao. You can either blow up the target Shou-Lao is going to have or Cosmo the lane that Shou-Lao is going to be in. Either way, you can also use Supergiant to make sure that the thing that they want to hit with the Shou-Lao actually has to come out on turn 4 instead of turn 5, because if it comes out on turn 5, it's going to be face down. Smart Shou-Lao players can play around that, but it's not that common. This 3-card package is the reason this deck works. Rocket and Groot, we talked a lot about Nightcrawler, we talked a lot about cards that are good with priority. This is a card that is excellent when you have priority. When your cards reveal first and their cards reveal second, Rocket and Groot is representing 2 additional power for every card they try to contest your Askani-Son with, your Iron Patriot with. The movable stuff, incredibly important given how much space we're taking up with the rocks, and of course how much we want to commit to an Askani-Son lane, to an Iron Patriot lane. You've heard this before because you have heard this before. That's why it feels like that. Viv Vision is sort of the glue, I guess. Like, she does multiple things here. First of all, she will move out of a location if you're losing it, which makes her a relatively interesting follow-up to something like an Askani-son, because it's like, okay, they really want to punish you, but also they'll free up a space if they end up taking that over. But we are a deck that is so good at rolling downhill. Iron Patriot stuff, Askani-son stuff. Iron Patriot, one of the reasons it's a little better is because it works so well with Viv. Like, you get the Iron Patriot proc, and then the thing that you got off Iron Patriot helps you win the Viv lane, which lets you keep snowballing. Again, though, the premise here is pretty simple. Viv is a card that really benefits when you can lock in priority with Supergiant, and you do that, and you get X amount of extra procs from Viv that they can't really contest. And of course, the fact that it moves is non-zero upside. We are pretty much built to prevent the worst outcomes with our movers and enable her to actually think of that as not necessarily upside, but something that isn't nearly so bad as it is in other decks. Now, because she costs 3, she's not as good as Askani-son, she's not as good as Iron Patriot. The cards that cost 2 curving into Debris is kind of the thing here. So her costing 3, she's worse than those two at being a snowball card, but she's just good enough. Debris is the reason you play the rock package. A 3/8 is just actually that good. And so you build around the 3/8 effectively. In as much as this deck is built around anything, it's built around Debris. This is the Askani-son follow-up, this is the Iron Patriot follow-up, this is the Vision follow-up, this is the synergy with Ozymandias, this is a card that is amazing at taking priority, so it's great with the Supergiant package. She's the star. Like, this is genuinely the reason the deck is making the decisions that it's making. And she is absolutely justifiable in that. There are very few decks in Marvel Snap where you're actually this excited to see a 3/8. Basically none of them, right? That's just not a thing people are excited about in the modern age. But because Supergiant and Cosmo and Negasonic keep the combo decks that define this modern age down, suddenly a 3/8 starts to look like the biggest thing on the board. I cannot be effusive enough in my praise of Negasonic Teenage Warhead. This card is unbelievably powerful. Being able to, when your opponent has 3 things in a lane, punish them by saying, I instantly win this lane, barring real shenanigans, is so good normally, and it's so much better when you are incentivizing them to heavily contest lanes to prevent your Askani-son scaling up. This is a big deal of a card. She will win you so many games in this deck. She is half or more of the reason this deck even exists. An absolute beast. And don't get me wrong, Supergiant is great. Like, she is. She has a lot of utility in a metagame that is pretty focused on, like, various combo shenanigans. She's good against Shou-Lao, as good as any card really is into Shou-Lao, honestly, and great against Star-Lord, just an absolute beast. With so many people messing around with Strife, she can be very good there too, because her cards reveal after the end of the game, meaning Strife has already checked for on reveals, and of course, if he's the card that's face down, well, too late to check there, buddy. There's a lot of upside in being a Supergiant deck right now. I think the matchup against Star-Lord was pretty 50-50 before the nerf. I think it's probably significantly favored for you now. Ozymandias is a tertiary card in this list. Like I said, Debris the star of the package. Rhino at least works with what we're trying to do. This guy's fine, but I think a lot of the time I found myself just playing 2-3 on 5 instead of just one really big guy. He's not bad or anything. He's just okay. And I think a lot of the time this deck is better equipped to use the stats that it gets from elsewhere rather than being super committed to him. But again, I mean, Debris does so much here. He kind of just comes with her, I think. Like, you just kind of gotta if you're going to do this. And I think we kind of gotta. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to stick around for some gameplay with this list. As always, I have been KMBest. You have been phenomenal. Please remember, like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Let's see how it goes. Move the crawler. Can't. Oh, I'm just dead to the Wong combo. Four gambits, eh? Left. 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 I'm the GOAT! Oh my god! Old Wayne was really fucking good, man. Oh my god, it's Dark Razor in his bugged account. It's fucking illegal, dude. Well, don't know what's happening. Do know that it concerns me. Fair enough.
We are the future.
And Sabanur is off. And Saba will trigger? No, there's a Supergiant down. This card won't be there, will it? It's not off? Oh, shit. Will trigger. Okay, so it's like this, then? Gonna flip that Red Guardian into something. It didn't trigger. You guys are stupid. Oh, it's because he didn't play middle. It's because he did these revealed at the end of the game, right? Right? They had to get the Valentina Sasquatch, or there's nothing fucking playable here. Oh my god. It is Arishem. They have a 0-cost Red Hulk, huh? You ever just start chucking stuff into domain? It's a conversation. And I get their face down Red Hulk here. And it goes on to my null here. Yes. 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 God gaming.
Victory.
I'll snap. Let's lose 8.
We
Oh?
are the future.
Oh! Not losing 8! Winning 8! Oh, shit, yeah.
Victory.
Oh, shit, yeah. I think we cannot lose unless the 1 in 7 means that we probably did something about right. Hate to see it. Missing a 2-drop is the death of this deck. Now we're going to lose the coin flip. Brutal. I do like the rock location. That is kind of nice with it. Okay, what the fuck? What are they doing? We have questions. It probably involves a Killmonger, whatever they're doing.
Opponent snapped.
No negative. Fuck. Died. That's a painful one. Died.
I want the throne.
All right, I mean, it's not like a good play, but what? Am I getting sniped? What the fuck? Oh. I mean, cooked my ass.